And salutations, fellow steam-shooting helmets atop a wrestler's fat piece of shit body. His words, not mine. It is I, Eric J. Chucky. This is the Two Nerds Podcast. I am joined by the boy.
Hey, you didn't have to come for Big Van Vader like that.
No, he said it.
Yeah, he did.
Guy, I just wanted to hug him.
Anyway.
As I said, this is the Two Nerds Podcast. Like the video. It's not hard. How has YouTube not trained you by now? Like the video. Leave us a comment. I mean, like, you know, you got something to say. You don't have to be like, I like Punch. Fuck it. Comment, I like Punch. It helps the algorithm. Helps boost our videos. Like, we don't make any fucking money off of these. Just that way more people can listen to us talk about our top 5 favorite kinds of banana.
There's a part of me that wants to go, once as a joke, to go, actually, you know what I'm thinking on it, maybe don't. But no, do. I want to know if more people want to know about my top 5 favorite kinds of banana. Cavendish. That's my only option. God damn it, I missed the Gros Michel.
I want the mystery of the Gros Michel. That is, this is Bananas Foster. As we know,
that's a good kind of bananas.
Good kind of bananas. That's an old one. That's for you.
Okay, well, that's a fun little bonus podcast. Let's talk about the one that's on the title.
Well, hold on, I ain't done yet. Subscribe if you haven't already. To Patreon's in the description. You can be like Rob. We always talk about how great Rob is. It might be cool stuff there in the future if you bother subscribing. It's not expensive. It's like $1. Like, give me $1 once a month.
He could have a hat. You want him to post up a video of just
spare change.
There you go.
Spare change. Oh, God bless you, man. God bless you.
There you go.
Books. I wrote them. You should buy them and then read them and tell me how good you think they are.
In the comments.
Sure. Fuck it. I don't care. Y'all can have a conversation amongst yourselves in the comments. Tell me about your day. I'll probably respond to it. Unless you're that weird guy who keeps commenting Chrono Trigger strategies on my videos that are not pertinent to the videos I posted.
He
That's
just
right.
loves them.
I saw you.
He just loves them.
Nah, he's just a troll. I got to shout out a troll. So, fuck, if you guys put forth effort, you want to hear a talking head say things about you, I'm your fucking guy. We're talking about our top 5 favorite miscellaneous video game characters. What's up?
Well, so, in the video games, there's many.
Yeah.
And we figured it would... If we kept breaking them down into tinier and tinier segments...
Well, we've hit that rough part where, like, a lot of people disagree on how to qualify video games.
So we reached the point where it's better to just lump them all together. We split up the categories we felt we had good, solid individual lists for, like RPGs and, League of Legends.
Well, that's about what we play, too, right?
Yeah. I play a lot of RPGs, and we played a lot of League of Legends.
Yeah, for many years.
But when you get down to the other games, we don't really play a lot of other genres of game. So it's just easier to slump them all together into one big final list. And sure, some stuff's going to get lost along the way here, but oh well.
I'm doing the My Little Pony shrug emoji thing. The internet meme. The one, usually Rainbow Dash, but then they changed it. Google it.
I'm going to do the Reaper shrug.
I'm so glad this podcast is not visual.
No, oh God, don't look at my face. It's bad. Number 5, you went first last time.
Yeah.
So let's have me do it this time.
Okay, if you want.
There you go. Although that does mean that you get the last one. No, I'm kidding. So number 5 for me.
It's going to be really fucking different.
Yeah, very different. Number 5 for me is I cheated. I put 2 characters here, but I put them here because 1, they're not separable. I like them together as a unit, and
you hear
2,
that game development studio whose name I've forgotten? They're not separable.
And 2, I'm gonna be real with you, Chief. A big part of the reason I like these 2 characters is that I played them with my bro here. That is Tyson Rios and Elliot Salem. Not, as I referred to them, constantly in my head, Essay and Rios.
From the Army of Two games.
Yeah, from the Army of Two games. And we played both Army of Two and Army of Two the 40th Day back in the day. We had a great time. Those were such good games. And then they went and they fucked it up. And they didn't get to make any more because no one liked the new one because they fucked it up. I like these guys as like a good buddy cop duo. They're not super complex people. They are mercenaries for hire. They are generally okay guys. One's a little skeevier, one's a little more stern. And they've got fun banter. But a big part of it is just that the game itself really incentivizes you to be a cool bro with your cool bro. And god damn it, I miss that. I miss couch co-op.
Yeah. It's come back in a strong way. We've actually got a lot of games on our Xbox that are full of couch co-op. Beat 'em ups are making a big return. Games like A Way Out.
A Way Out feels like the spiritual, if like the dad version of Army of Two. And we played a bit of A Way Out, but then we stopped. And
it's very complicated. We stopped for a good reason. We only had a trial of the game, and then I didn't realize I bought it.
So now
for like a year.
We'll probably get back to it at some point.
Yeah.
But they represent both. I like the characters themselves, but also they represent a style of game that I like playing with my friend White.
I also I'm going to take a second. I'm going to get a little bit of a soapbox out.
There you go.
Y'all were too fucking hard on Tyson and Elliot when they came out. Oh, these soldier guys are being all broy. People are dying. No shit. Have you ever met a fucking soldier?
Yeah, dude, gallows humor is their thing.
Yeah, it's how they stay sane out there. At least most of the ones I've known from any age group. This is how it is. They're going to talk about rap music they like and make jokes about how funny that guy died.
Because the only other option is to
start the PTSD early.
Yeah, basically, is to start it up before you're even back home.
Yeah, and your country has thrown you into the garbage.
Oh, that's dark. Not wrong.
Anyway, the third game we didn't play because they split up the team and they gave us humorless, nameless nobodies as characters, and it was like these mechanics,
Alpha and Bravo. They literally didn't give them names.
These mechanics are still really good, and they've really improved on a lot of them, but I don't care.
I was here to play cool bros with my cool bro, not effective mercenaries with my cool bro.
Yeah, if I'd be playing Battlefield or
Battlefront Call of Battle
Johnson,
or whatever.
Football.
What's your number 5?
Mine, what fucking you? And I'm gonna go from fucking two extremes here. My number 5 is Dropsy the Clown. God, where to begin?
Generally accepted place, the middle.
Okay. I think at that point you're in a junkyard and you're trying to. It's been a while since I played the game, and this joke is stupid anyway.
Oh yeah, it is.
Dropsy is a big blobby clown guy who wants to hug everybody. He's real nice and he's kind of dumb, and most people would say he's very ugly or perhaps terrifying. He gets framed for something he didn't do, and your job in the adventure game in which he is the character is to help people. As a side effect, you end up proving your innocence.
That's good. That's good shit.
If I'm being perfectly naked, he is Jesus allegory clown. But, one of the best ones I've ever seen.
He means Jesus allegories, not Jesus allegory clowns. I imagine that's a pretty thin fucking
I don't
envelope.
know if there's another one. Yeah.
Is he better than Jesus allegory lion?
I've only ever read the first book in that series, and I was 12 at the time. So I don't know if I'm fit to comment.
I have a controversial nerd hot take. Having never played Dropsy, he's better than Jesus Allegory Lion.
I was kind of going to think that maybe. Because honestly, Jesus Allegory Lion is allegorically Jesus in a very loose way. Whereas I feel like Dropsy embodies that turn the other cheek mentality, that love one another. He's the ideal Jesus, not the Jesus braiding the whip to beat the shit out of a motherfucker with.
Look, even he has his bad days.
Sure.
Some
Dropsy
dude's got to
does
get
not
whipped.
have bad days. Dropsy, period, does not have bad days. And not only did he come along at a point in my life where I really needed an echo of that sentiment of, can't we all just get along? But
is it not possible to just be kind to one's brother?
Right, exactly. And like, okay, I know it's it was kind of a controversial thing in gaming a couple years ago to talk about games that aren't about murder. I am, as a person, still somebody who would love to sit down and play Army of Two. I will shoot up a whole warehouse full of children. It doesn't matter.
Video games aren't real, guys.
They're not.
They're fictional.
I have a hard time killing dogs still.
Well, I mean, like, I don't want to pretend to do that.
I don't want to pretend, no. I want to shoot them with my cornflake gun and then be on my merry way.
Then you accidentally kill the one real one, and then you take Renekton and you put him in the lake, and you turn off the game.
Man, that was a Daniel Tosh level exclusionary joke math.
Yeah, basically by the end it was just for you.
Just for me.
But you were laughing.
Yeah, I still am. I would recommend you pick up Dropsy. I would recommend you follow Jay Tholen. I would recommend you play Hypnospace Outlaw. This guy's got 2 games that I played and loved so far. Just absolutely loved. They're very different. They're very unique. And you don't gotta kill nobody. You don't even have the option to.
Well, that's a good thing.
It's like it's nice to have
variety.
Variety, exactly. Like, I want to have the murder games, and I want to have a game where I'm a boy and his blob, and I just hug my blob sometimes. There's a dedicated hug my blob button. This is the evolution of that. There is a dedicated hug button.
Not just the blob. Hug.
Hug everything and everyone.
That's good.
Yes. Number 4.
Number 4 for me is Murderer. Ezio the Torre di Firenze. He's the main character of Assassin's Creed. I'm aware they made other games after Ezio. I played 1. I played 2. Mostly I played the other one to be a pirate. But the fluff, the lore of the Assassin's Creed games is, at the best of times, fucking bonkers. And at the worst of times, bonkers, and somehow also still boring. I've never given a shit about the lore past the 3rd game. I played Black Flag literally just to be a pirate. I don't think I ever did more of the main quest than was necessary to unlock pirate stuff. But Ezio's emotional journey, his story, more than Altair, I also played that game, is, to me, what Assassin's Creed should be about. That's the kind of historical look back and big, bombastic, over-the-top, operatic storytelling in which the series could have chosen to thrive. They chose not to do that, and I'm still upset about it. But those games, the Ezio's games, by themselves, as their own contained narrative, are really good. And I think Brotherhood is the best of them, but I am, of course, biased because I like it the best.
Which one was the one where Ezio swung a hammer around and killed a bunch of people?
That one was all of them when you play.
Ah, yes.
But I think he's a very interesting fictional character. I think he is the best part of an otherwise vastly underutilized or misused setting. And he just has an interesting arc.
Yeah, I would agree. He's a very solid character. He's not... There's nothing like that's crazy bombastic about him or weird. He's just a really solid protagonist. Very well written. And he fights the Borgias. What more could you want?
I mean, they are dickheads.
Yeah.
One time he beat up the Pope. Didn't kill the Pope. That didn't make sense. Again, the game is weird. But he did at least beat the fuck out of him.
My number 4 is a murderer. Ironically, both of our number 4s are stealth action characters.
Yeah.
Mine is a bit of a cheat.
Hey, I did it. You go do it too.
And it's fine. Because it's more the essence than a specific character. Now, I have commentary on all these different specific characters, which I will not go too deep into because miraculously we're already 15 minutes into this.
Oh, it's going to be a long one, kids.
I have chosen Snake from the Metal Gear series. I don't care if it's solid. I don't care if it's naked. I don't care if it's Venom. Snake.
And yes, those are all different people. And yes, they all have different characters to a certain extent. But, I mean, let's be real, listener. No, they don't.
Yeah, they do. Like, it's the circumstances, but it's the personality that really gets me. The tired soldier. The person who's trying to do better for the world, but at the same time doesn't necessarily know what's beyond the reaches of the end of their own fucking gun. Like, he is my James Bond, is Snake.
Part of that sentence is a secret tool that will help us later.
I missed it.
Oh, I'll bring it back. Don't worry.
Okay. It's anyway. I do love the type of stealth action that Metal Gear is. I always delight in watching the boy watch me play a Metal Gear game when he watched me do my hammer murder in Assassin's Creed and go, I thought you hated stealth games.
And you look at me and go, no. I hated that stealth game. I love this one. As he vanishes into the night after trank darting 9 dudes.
And shaking them down just in case they have sweet 1980s cassette tapes.
And then choosing to rocket punch one for the culture.
Yeah, I think Snake is a really solid character, no pun intended. And in any of his forms, the mantle is powerful. I'm sad we're never going to get another proper Metal Gear game. Even if we get another Metal Gear game, it won't be proper.
It'd be like...
But I'm also okay with it ending because it went out on a giant flaming whale.
I mean, yeah, there's nowhere to go but down from there.
No.
And doing that without him would be like trying to finish, I don't know, the last season adaptation of A Song of Ice and Fire without George R.R. Martin. I don't think it would go well.
I'm not even going to criticize your statement or the timing of it. Please, what is your number 3?
My number 3 is Aloy. I literally forgot the name of the game. Horizon Zero Dawn. So, there's a running joke with me as a person that if someone uses a bow, I'm going to like them more than if they don't use a bow. I like bow superheroes. I like Hawkeye. I like Green Arrow. I like bow characters in video games. I like bow characters in movies. I like Legolas. I like Bow Guy. It's really cool. I also like coming of age stories. I always have. They're really they're just generally a really good format for storytelling. And Aloy is a great example of both those damn things, as well as an interesting story in her own right of someone who tried so hard to achieve something ultimately very minor and was thrust into something very important as a result. And I like the level of aplomb and confidence with which she just accepted, oh, I'm gonna save the world? Okay, I guess.
Somebody's got to, might as well be me.
Somebody's gotta, and I'm here, and I gotta do it.
All right.
So, I like that. I mean, yeah, she's a bow lady. That's cool. I like the Disney movie Brave. The parts of it where she is a bow lady. That's cool. But I also really love the world building of that game, and that's part of the reason she's here. It's an interesting idea for a setting and a great way of making a game where you are essentially a Neolithic hunter without you having to murder a bunch of innocent animals. Although you do end up murdering a bunch of innocent animals. I needed food, I'm sorry.
I've never had a problem killing animals in a video game where I had to eat or like make stuff out of them.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm sorry, bro, I gotta eat. It is what it is.
It's circle of life, man. This is just kind of how things go. Now, where they draw the line is like the Assassin's Creed thing is where I'm saying about
I gotta kill that dog.
Come on, man. Why you gotta train a dog to attack me? It makes me sad.
Well, you gotta. But that's some sad things about that dog's life, and then you made their animation really sad.
Yeah, very dog-like. Rough.
But, oh, God.
I don't know what's wrong with me. I've got some kind of bun disease. I don't mean to do this. That's not how I thought this machine worked.
I'm really looking forward to the sequel. I really like the story of Aloy's mother, essentially, and I hope they explore more of her, like, moving past that origin story into something like coming into her own sort of priorities in the next game. That's what I'm hoping for. What is your number 3?
Well, you mentioned that you like coming of age stories, and I think because of the firmament that is my favorite game, I like stories where disparate people come together to be the single ray of light against an overwhelming darkness.
That's fair.
That's
you like
just,
that.
If that's the box you're ticking to start with, I go, okay.
You have my attention.
So one might not necessarily see it that way, but I think one of the best expressions of this in the last 5 years, I hope my math's not wrong on that, is Marcus Holloway from Watch Dogs 2.
Marcus is a really good fucking character. I'm not going to front.
I remember at the beginning of playing that game being very frustrated with not having more agency over what my character says. Usually I like, dialogue options, role-playing, Mass Effect. But it didn't take me long to just go, oh, Marcus is just cool. Marcus is just ridiculously cool.
Yeah, he's a character. He has his own outlook, his own desires. You aren't... You are playing the game. You aren't playing a character.
And that's fine, though, because he's very sympathetic. He can often be relatable and, literally cool, as in, he says funny stuff and he does cool stuff. And he's not afraid to be excited. He's not afraid to be kind of vulnerable and then another moment be a tough guy.
Yeah, he's a normal fucking person. I'm not gonna go off too hard about the protagonist of Watch Dogs, the first game. It suffices to say, I hated that fucking guy. He was every bad version of an action man stereotype, but a hacker. I hate that fucking guy. He is the worst. I never beat that game. I literally, at one point, he did something I found so detestable, I drove to the lakeside, I walked that character into a lake, and I turned the game off.
I have only notably ever done that once in Fishing Simulator with a man I dubbed Travis Crabtree.
But Marcus is everything that guy wasn't. He's just... He actually has much better reasons to be shitty and bitter, and he's not. He's nice. Yeah. And he's positive, and he tries to find the good in the world. And he actually has bad shit that happened to him, you whiny... This is your entry, go.
I mean, that's... by contrast, he even seems like a better character. I mean, it's a wonderful point. Not just to his predecessor, but to other characters. And the people around him are such wonderful reflections of his personality, different people he can interact with, and he interacts with all of them. He treats people fairly, and he's just generally a nice dude.
Even people who, in story, he has every reason to treat like shit. People who have done him wrong.
But the beautiful thing is, it's never like Dragon Age 2, where it feels like he's holding the idiot ball.
No, it feels like he's making a choice to not be cruel.
Yes. And he's not he's never punished for it. He's a very good judge of character in that sense. He can go, okay, you understand you've tipped over the line. And then there are still people who he's polite to, but he does not want to handle.
Yeah, no, you are over the line. Yeah, we're done.
You crossed the line. We don't talk anymore. It's a really interesting character. I think Watch Dogs is the best expression of the Grand Theft Auto formula.
Watch Dogs 2.
Watch Dogs 2, that I've ever played.
Yeah, probably the best Grand Theft Auto game.
Period.
Watch Dogs 2. All right.
It's time.
Oh, it's time. Remember when I said this was going to be a long one? This is why. So, my number 2 is Lara Croft. Specifically, the Lara Croft from the reboot series. And I know, Internet, I know. I'm going to let you get out of your system. We done? Cool. Moving on. I like Lara Croft from the reboot series as a whole story. Of the 3 games so far that I believe they've come out with that I have played. I have played all of them. I have played the DLC for all but the last one, I believe. It's just a very good story of that person becoming the Tomb Raider. It's a 3-game origin story. And for someone who is generally kind of over the origin story, less so than my compatriot here, But generally, I'm okay. We're fine. I don't need that. This was an incredibly well done version of it. In the first game, you play essentially wet, with nothing, alone, scared, and crying. And naturally, through the course of 3 whole games, you build up this character's skills, abilities, and I don't mean in mechanics, I mean in the lore. The Lara Croft's rep and believability as an action protagonist is built up slowly over the course of 3 games, to the point where, like, at the end of the first game, she's in a very, very high octane situation where she's gunning down a lot of people, but she's clearly, like, freaking out about it. She's doing her best, but she is, like, in the game, freaking out. In the second game, by the end of the game, she has a lot of very heavy, weighty shit to deal with, and she's struggling with it. By the third game, there's a scene most of the way through the third game where Lara Croft has been, basically exploded. There is a lake that is on fire, and she rises like a Terminator out of it, slowly walking towards this big burly soldier who is scrabbling backwards, terrified because the fucking Tomb Raider has showed up and he is done for. And you buy it entirely. It makes absolute sense that at this point in her story, at this point in the world, she has enough of a reputation that this dude would be fucking scared because this unstoppable murder Terminator has shown up to end him. And then she does casually and moves on with her day like it didn't matter, because to her it didn't. That is such good storytelling. And it was so earned. And then by the end of the third game, she's the Tomb Raider. She's back in the mansion, she has the butler, she's Tomb Raider now. Good. You took 3 games to get there, and I'm not mad about it. Do you have any idea how good the storytelling has to be for me not to be mad about that?
I will say, on the topic of origin stories and being tired of them, I don't need to see Bruce Wayne's parents die again.
Yeah, it's okay. It's cool. We get it.
I don't need to see Uncle Ben die again.
Let him sit. It's fine. Let that poor man rest.
But if you're creating a new version of the origin story, by all means, show it to me. And I think the new Tomb Raider series, that was 90% of the point.
Was what made Lara Croft from a college girl into the fucking Tomb Raider. And this is what it was, and it feels earned.
Yeah, and redefining, giving you a reason to give a shit about the Tomb Raider, other than being told, this is Lara Croft, she's a badass, she goes into caves and finds idols.
I never gave a shit.
You every ounce of that, and you get to take that journey with her. Now, I've never played these games, but this is, I think, the 600th time I've heard this story.
I fucking love I love this whole arc.
Which I'm fine with. I like listening to my friend talk. But, like, I feel it. I get it. It sounds awesome. I wish I liked the mechanics a little bit more so that I could see that story.
I mean, to be honest, I don't like the mechanics of the second or third games as much as I like the mechanics of the first one, but I love the story.
So, yeah. Well, I'll go to my number 2.
Okay.
And I've got a little bit of story lead up to this one as well. So one of the difficult things when deciding this list for me, excuse me, is I love deep characters. What's the word I'm looking for? Very worked, very developed characters. But like, also this is video games, and there are fucking icons.
And some are too big. Some are too big to not rate a spot.
Sure. It's hard to look at this list of my favorite video game characters and be like, yeah, but like, you and Mario were born at the same time, man. He's been with you literally all your life. What are you going to do? How is that fair? He's like your brother, your digital Italian brother. I'm sorry, Mario. No, you're not on the list. I don't really care that much about your character development. One man I do care about, though. One Mega Man. Is Mega Man. Gosh. All of his story is basically super dumb unless you're listening to it told by a rock band.
And there are actually several that would like to do that.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I love Nintendo. I grew up with Nintendo. I love Mario. I love Luigi more. I'm like, Mario, you're my bro, but I've always been a Luigi guy. Link's cool. Even Sonic, very neat. Mega Man was my childhood.
Yeah, but it's Mega Man at the end of the day.
And it's the gameplay of the series. It's the look of the character, the mechanics of the games, all of the enjoyment I've had out of it, and in those adaptations, the quality of the character. And at the end of the day, it's Mega Man. It's I don't know how long ago. Well, I mean, it's that hero thing. It's Captain America. Because that is the crux of his character is he's Captain America.
Yeah.
He was a skinny, worthless cleaning robot, and then the world needed a savior, and he's like, put me in.
And then he just did.
And he continues to kick ass and take names.
And he, this is something I know through the adaptations, obviously, the musical adaptations that I'm so fond of this story. But he wasn't programmed to be a savior. He wasn't programmed to be a warrior for justice and what's right. He chose that.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah. There's a lot of like Asimovian commentary within Mega Man, and it's super fucking simple storytelling. Like
the actual games, yeah.
Yeah, it's not
There's
complex.
a bad man, he's Dr. Wowie, he make bad robot, you shoot bad robot die.
But then it's one of those things where you think about it for, half an hour after you've played the game. You go, oh, wait a minute.
There's a reason there have been no less than at least 3 rock bands that I'm aware of who have taken the time to adapt the story of Mega Man into big rock opera style albums.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fertile ground.
Yep. That's my icon. That's my concession that I put on the list.
I respect it.
So let's talk honorable mentions.
Let's.
I think a lot of these are a hint for our number 1.
I'm going to do this in reverse order because it's more fun that way. Because then the hints, they only come at the end.
Aye.
So my honorable mentions actually have a lot more than usual because I like a lot of characters in video games, and this is a pretty wide net we're casting. Rico Rodriguez from the fucking Explodey games, whose name I can't remember.
Just Cause?
Yeah, I'm bad at names today. What do you want? He's fun. He's a fun action protagonist. He's what if the main character of Saints Row, but instead of a gangster, Rambo meets like James Bond. Dope. Symmetra from OWCH, because she's a really good example of like a cool version of representation for something you don't see a lot of, and that's not something I go on about on the podcast a lot. For a lot of reasons.
If it's your truth, it's your truth.
Soldier 76 because he's a dad and a good dad, and come get your juice.
Come get your juice.
Juice boxes. Marcus Holloway for all of the reasons White mentioned, and many, many more that are mostly how much he isn't the protagonist of the first game. Wrench from Watch Dogs 2 as well, because God, Wrench is in some ways my internals. A part of me wants that goddamn mask. Proto Man, he didn't make my list almost entirely because the parts of Proto Man I like are all from the adaptations, or rather the elaborations of them that got me into the character from the adaptations. I don't like Mega Man games mechanically. I don't like them. They don't play how I want video games to play. But I fucking love the story of Proto Man. Master Chief, that's my concession to iconhood. John 117, or I think that's it, is not a complex man, but he's Halo. He doesn't afraid of anything, and that's important. And then my last 2 honorable mentions, 2 characters from the same game, Hosea Matthews and Dutch Vanderland from Red Dead Redemption 2. I'm not going to say much more about that. What's your honorable mentions?
I'm going to go in a specific order here. Let's start with Pietro from Animal Crossing. It's not that his character is really deep or anything. It's more like what he represents. A lot of people hate this fluffy rainbow sheep because the world has taught them to fear clowns and express disgust toward them. like this is one of the most recent. I mean, like clown phobias have not new, but
No, colorophobia is pretty old.
but like relatively speaking, this is one of the most recently successful smear campaigns on something that's not like a. It is the weirdest targeting that I have ever seen.
Leave the nice clown sheep alone, you weirdos.
Yeah, he's just nice. He thinks he's a celebrity, but like that's about it. And y'all like the heterochromia cat so much that you were paying thousands of dollars to get him, thousands of real world dollars to get him in your island.
Move on. I don't like that. I don't like that sentence. Move on.
I'll tell you something you will like. I've found him 3 times on random islands. Left each and every one of them.
Oh!
Sorry, I already got a homie and it's Pietro. Speaking of icons, Kirby. I love the Kirby games. I stopped playing them after a while, so that's why he's not in my top 5. But he's a cool little guy. He's pink and he sucks up stuff, and he's got that Mega Man copy stuff. You know how I like that.
Yep.
Everything in his world is made of candy, and I appreciate that too. Roadhog and Junkrat from Overwatch, they're not really separable.
They're a unit.
Yeah. And that's why I like their characters. As you said, Wrench, Proto Man. I have GLaDOS on here. I think she's really powerful.
Yeah, GLaDOS, thinking on it, definitely is something I would add to my honorable mentions.
Like, Cave Johnson's cool and funny, but like...
He's cool and funny. GLaDOS is a villain.
And a sympathetic one.
Yeah, like, you get it at the end.
Yeah, and that's really well done. And well
By the end of Portal 2, you get it.
Speaking of iconography, we've got Bowser, we have Ganondorf, we have Mario, Luigi, Waluigi. I also have Salem and Rios on my honorable mentions. Mae Borowski from Night in the Woods. I like a lot of the characters in that game, but I feel like she's probably the most... I mean, she's your vector character, so she's the easiest to kind of look through. High quality game. 2 other people made that game besides the guy that cut all the flack. So I'd pick it up. Come on. Is there anyone else?
I think there's a few more. Yeah.
Three. Charles Smith from Red Dead Redemption 2.
You know what? Thinking on it, probably should add him to my honorable mentions.
He was my bro when I played through about half of that game. And I would also like to mention Mr. Dutch Vanderland and a Mr. Hosea Matthews.
I wonder why that might be.
All right, so let's get to our number 1. How rare is it that our number 1 is the same?
Same person, same rank. It's Arthur Morgan.
I hate that game.
Yeah, he doesn't like the game. This is like even more so than I don't like Mega Man games. I don't play how I want video games to play. It actively pisses him off.
It's the carrot and the stick. I love the open world aspects of that game. Really great mechanically. I love going out with a bow and shooting birds and hunting them and returning to camp, or fighting crocodiles, or hunting bounties. And
you love being a cowboy.
I love being a cowboy. And then there's the plot.
Which is a sad, sad story.
I think
but
it's
a bittersweet one.
Yeah, also. And it's also like it's a good story. It's just that the quests.
The game has a very specific story it wants to tell, and I don't think the mechanical implementation of the story quests is as good as it otherwise could have been.
We have said it before. We will say it again. There is a YouTube man named Naked Jakey.
Not Naked Jacob. Naked? Not him either. Not Naked Jacob. That's a different guy.
He will summarize what I feel about Red Dead Redemption 2 better, and this isn't the podcast for that.
And, to be clear, I don't think either of them are wrong. It just didn't bother me, is the easiest way to explain it.
But in terms of characterization and storytelling, I cannot find flaw. There are so many... A sign of good writing, quality writing, is that you are able to interpret a developed character who has thoughts and feelings deeply expressed through a 70-hour game in so many different ways. And not because he's all over the place. He's solid. He's a through line. He's consistent. He grows, but like consistently. But you can see so much in the character of Arthur Morgan. Like, one of the most brilliant pieces of art in gaming, period.
Yeah, I don't... That's just right. Arthur Morgan is probably the best expression of a character archetype I love, which is a person who has not led a good life, trying real hard, Ringo, to be the shepherd. And it's just, he is such a well-made character, such a well-told story. And the other characters, and that's the reason they're on our honorable mentions list, they're also really good, but ultimately they are secondary. They are side characters. Dutch Vanderland's story of injury leading to unraveling madness that may have always been bubbling under the surface. Hosea Matthews' story of desperately trying to make something all right before his very soon to come end that he knows is coming is that's a great mirror for Arthur's story, because at a certain point he's on borrowed time and he knows it, and he chooses to use his last time on the planet to try and make something right for a change. And it sounds almost like boilerplate when you say it like that, but it's done incredibly well and you buy it.
It's the way the story is told is chainmail, and I feel like we're missing. I would have rather had a long sleeve shirt, and that is to say, I would have loved to have seen some stuff from before the opening of the game.
Yeah, same.
But everything connects together so fucking well. You see the reason Arthur is the way he is because of his My Two Dads. You see the things that he hopes and cares for because he keeps referring back to that dog he liked that they had once. And similar things like that.
Yeah, the story, Arthur Morgan is a very tight, he keeps a person who keeps his feelings tight to his chest, and for most of the story. But the story doesn't make any secret of the kind of person Arthur Morgan is. And the kind of person he was. Or at least sees himself as. Because that is one of the things you can interpret, because Arthur Morgan does see himself as generally not a very good man. A bad person. I am the devil, I am here to do the devil's work sort of person. But when push comes to shove, when things matter, he's not. And that's good storytelling.
Amazingly good storytelling. I suppose it's worth mentioning that both of us played White Hat.
Yeah, you can choose to be an absolute dickhead. You can choose voluntarily to be Micah in a different hat. I can't fathom why you would want to. But you can. And the story still is coherent. I've gone and looked up, the differences, because there are differences in the story. That version of Arthur talks different. He's harder. He's more bitter. He's more unsettled with his end, as it were. And it is absolutely as valid a story. I don't think it's as good of one, and I don't think it's the one the makers of the game intend, but they let you do it anyway, because you want to be a bad cowboy, you can be a bad cowboy. I don't know why you'd want that.
Bad cowboy I can be, but if I move the wrong direction in the middle of the mission, suddenly I failed.
He's very mad about the story missions.
There's a couple other flaws with the game as a whole, with some of the choices they make in...
and then some of the mechanics are a little wonky, and...
But in terms of telling a tale, it does such an incredible job. I think one of the best things it does, something else that Watch Dogs 2 does, is that the characters treat each other like people.
Yeah.
There's, I will ask myself 1,000 times when we're playing the game, why am I putting up with Micah's shit? Oh, because Arthur loves Dutch.
And Dutch asked him to.
And there's no question to it.
Arthur Morgan, he's not a saint. It is very clear at several points in the story, the only reason Micah doesn't have a bullet through the back of his head is because Dutch Vanderland asked Arthur Morgan very nicely not to kill him. And Arthur loves Dutch like a father and a general and his king. And he is the loyal son. He is the good knight. and he will do as his king commands, even if it means dealing with fucking racist Starscream. And
Be nice to Starscream.
I meant more in the curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal sense. But certainly he's not nearly as hot as Starscream. But I just... And, like, I like to shit on him, but Micah is an incredibly well-made character.
Oh, yeah. I met that guy.
He's designed from the ground up to be the most hateable shit in the whole world, and he does it. He's Joffrey, but given a gun, and... I mean, that's basically it.
Yeah. I think you'll find I got 2 guns.
There's a scene right at the end, in the right ending, the good ending, where you have won. Despite losing a fight, you have won the war. And Micah is reduced to literally curling up like a goblin and hissing at you. And it doesn't feel overwrought.
No.
It feels like that's exactly what he would do there. He's a goblin.
And these complexities do go out to the other characters. Dutch van der Linde is one of the most well-built villains. And the simple decision of going, what if the bad guy is your dad and you know it? And not like fucking Darth Vader off in a space station somewhere. You live with him.
And, like, part of that is that, you know, they designed the game around being a prequel to another game that neither of us have played. And in that... You get a
Sasquatch genocide. I don't want to be that guy.
Me neither. In that game, you've beat a version of Dutch where the cheese has done slid all the way off the cracker, and so they had
just salami.
So they had to work backwards from that to get why did people follow him in the first place?
Yeah.
Why did someone as obviously morally upright and kind of dim as John Marston follow Dutch van der Linde in the first place? And they got to a version of Dutch that it absolutely makes sense that he was a thief king. He was Alibaba. He was a leader of a band of bandits. People who are stuck on the outsides and the outskirts of society who form up around what amounts to a cult leader because he is charismatic and intelligent and very persuasive.
And he's got altruistic ideas.
He's got a pitch that it seems like he almost believes.
I think he used to believe it.
I think, yeah, that's the thing. I think that's why it works.
And I think
he used to.
Consistently until like the end of the game, he still believes he believes it.
Yeah. I think that's absolutely the story they're trying to tell. This was a man who used to have principles, who is feeling the walls close in on him and ends up bending his principles and is trying to reconcile that and is trying to get back to the person he believes himself to be and get back to the thing he believes is right and true, and it just keeps going wrong and nothing works and the walls keep getting smaller and then he takes a bump to the head and it spirals.
Yeah. I guess like the benchmark is often for a character in media. Do I want to play this guy in D&D? Is this someone who inspires me so much that I want to make an OC out of them? You know?
Yeah, and for me, it's similar in that I think as a DM first, is this an NPC I want to steal?
Regardless, I mean, still, do I want to make an OC out of them?
Yeah.
I guess.
Do I want to use this character myself?
Well,
is this ground so fertile I'd like to plant stuff?
Yeah.
And yes, I've used Arthur Morgan as an NPC. He's played a version of him. I probably will end up playing a version of him at some point relatively soon, to be perfectly honest. This Red Dead Redemption 2 is one of the best stories in video gaming. Qualifier silver.
It's long. But y'all got time to watch Game of Thrones, you can watch this shit.
It certainly has a better ending.
Find it on YouTube. I had to stop playing the game. I hit a point where the mechanics of the story missions were so bafflingly regimented that I wasn't playing a game anymore. It was just having me push buttons between the movies. So I had the boy find me the movies, and I watched those, and there were like 7 hours of them after like halfway through the game.
And I could talk at length about the use of music and thematics and just fucking... But no. I feel like we've said enough.
Yeah, this isn't a Red Dead Redemption 2 review, and it's certainly not a Guardians of the Galaxy review. So, Arthur Morgan, number 1. It's gonna have to take some incredible.
Yeah, he's got that seat kind of unlocked. You're gonna have to try real fucking hard to unseat him. At least as far as this particular sub list. But anyway, I think we're done here.
Yep.
Everything's better when nerds talk about it.
Fuck it.